There goes a MedStar ambulance, and they better move fast. The person waiting for help has a better chance to live if they get to the scene in 5 minutes or less. Who can forget that deadly wreck 3 years ago on Interstate 35? 6 people died, dozens more got hurt. That's why the folks in 13 cities in and around Fort Worth should know how badly they're being failed by the government-run MedStar ambulance service. MedStar answers calls for help from 436 square miles, and for months they tried to hide the truth about their response time from us and you, using critical tax money to pay lawyers now to fight us to hide complaints about response times. We've even filed a state bar complaint against lawyer Rachel Raggio. Her law firm has a long name. We've accused her of making false statements to the Texas Attorney General so they can hide more records. A year ago, the Fort Worth Fire Union blew the whistle, accusing MedStar of gimmicks to manipulate their response time data. The result, they argued, was quite grim for the 1 million folks who depend on MedStar. Among the 11 incidents identified, MedStar took 15 minutes to answer a call for a cardiac arrest. We don't know if the patient died.
What possibly would you have me escorted out for?
This is the guy Fort Worth taxpayers pay $188,000 a year to work with the media.
Everybody's a member of the media nowadays.
But he didn't think my folks deserved to even ask questions because we report on social media.
Right? It's no different.
One can argue if it's different or not.
What's the argument that it's different?
Hey dude, it's 2024. And when it comes to public money, the word no, well, it really doesn't work with us.
Now that we're clear.
Well, are we clear?
I hope you're clear.
Is that a threat?
No, I just hope you're clear.
Okay.
Service response times definitely have suffered.
And I bet until very recently, the residents of Fort Worth probably didn't even have a clue what was really going on.
The response times are publicly reported every month. They're in our board packet, they're on our website. Any request for information from the EMS authority is easily granted.
Pardon my Brooklyn French, but that's bullshit.
They're just not hitting those response time goals that the city of Fort Worth would like to see.
For the most urgent calls, the response time is supposed to be no more than 11 minutes. That's pretty slow if you're having a heart attack.
Well, Fort Worth's EMS system is too slow to get to patients and overloaded. That's what a new study found.
A consulting firm hired to review MedStar's 2023 response time numbers decided they weren't telling the truth. The real response time wasn't 11 minutes, but a potentially deadly 15 minutes, 90% of the time.
The consultants themselves said that unless the city decides to subsidize MedStar in its current iteration or move to another alternative model, you can't really expect to see significant improvements in response time goals.
But that's not the only reason MedStar's future is really under the microscope. For decades, taxpayers did not fund the ambulance service. Insurance companies did, mostly from those private ambulance calls, transfers from nursing homes and the like. MedStar was the only ambulance service you could call for help. The government-run ambulance company just isn't working anymore, unable to handle both 911 calls and all those private calls.
Asking the city of Fort Worth for public tax dollars to help pay for things like ambulances and staff.
City Councilman Carlos Flores chairs the committee overseeing emergency services in Fort Worth, but he's also the chairman of the board that runs MedStar. Kind of a potential conflict of interest, don't you think?
This is much more than a conversation about response times. I want to stress that, much more than that, because there's also the workload that's being placed on the MedStar workforce that we're very cognizant of.
We're big supporters of first responders here at Dolcefino Consulting, but in Fort Worth, why does it seem like no one's actually looking at how MedStar is spending its money? MedStar's 2023 budget, $62 million, and they had a $4.2 million shortfall. Did you guys falsify your response time data? Did you falsify the data? We've already caught one of the biggest private ambulance companies in the state falsifying its response times in Port Arthur, including the call for help from Cornelio DeBlanc for his dying wife.
I was holding like this, call ambulance, call brief.
My daddy said, like, my wife is dying. Can y'all hurry up? Can you hurry up and come?
Hurry up, hurry up.
The Port Arthur police chief says he's investigating the repeated falsehoods we found in Acadian's records. But it's pretty cut and dry, Chief. It's time for a grand jury.
God bless you, and please keep us in your prayers.
Port Arthur's mayor was standing in front of the Progressive Missionary Baptist Church, struck by a pre-dawn tornado.
It left several homes damaged, others destroyed. Its destruction similar to the tornado that devastated Orange County in January of 2023.
But we've learned the city's new ambulance service requested an emergency order for more ambulances on the morning of the storm, but that the city manager, Ronald Burton, denied the request.
We have no injuries that have been confirmed at this point in time. That's all praise to God.
What would the city manager have said now if this had been a Sunday morning instead of a weekday? Was the city misled?
I think there were some misrepresented information.
Suddenly, the Port Arthur fire chief says he can't interview with us any longer. He was the one who first discovered Acadian's clearly illegal gimmicks. Acadian has now left Port Arthur, but if the chief is facing retaliation for doing the right thing and talking with me, the city manager better pay the price. Maybe the talk of Acadian's close ties to officials in Port Arthur is the real problem here. Our Port Arthur investigation has now led us to ask for public records about ambulance response times all over the state. And we have been fought every step of the way. In Buna in Jasper County, the ESD1 there fought to keep emails and complaints regarding Acadian and Allegiance EMS a total secret. We fought them and won. And then there's Pasadena. They've so far ignored an AG ruling to give us response time records and complaints. And surprise, surprise, it's another Acadian contract. Stay tuned. Amarillo, they have EMS contracts with AMR and AMS, requiring they get to the most serious calls in 8 minutes and 59 seconds or less. But when we asked the city for its response time records, they didn't have any. In Arlington, another contract with AMR. We asked for that city's records in December, and we still do not have their response time records. And in Fort Worth, MedStar is playing games with disclosing its raw records. We want to see the data on their response times, not a report they created. If you look at MedStar, they now say their response time has shrunk dramatically to 7.5 minutes. Let's see the record, shall we? Fort Worth has to make a choice. Give MedStar's job to the fire department, give them more money, or take care of 911 calls and let private ambulance companies handle the rest.
I can tell you council members are looking at that strongly. Chairman Carlos Flores, when we spoke earlier today, said that's one of the main things they're going to be looking at, is separating those out no matter what model they go towards.
So the system will not be able to put up the resources necessary to meet the community's expected service level. So there has to be some decision made regarding either the service level or the funding, or a combination of two, in order for the system to survive.
The fire union warns Fort Worth needs a new ambulance system which can dispatch ambulances in a dependable and timely manner. Across Texas, every taxpayer should be demanding that cities actually police the response time records of ambulances. It's a matter of life and death.
If the ambulance came in here earlier, I think she would have been alive.